Hi guys, let me just quickly grab my cup of tea. Hi Carolyn. Right, so I got this book, Priscilla, Elvis and Me. I'm pretty sure Joanne sent it me. It's an unauthorized biography, entire and uncensored intimate story by Caroline Latham. Unauthorized. Okay, let me just grab my tea a minute. I've got half an hour, so I thought let's talk about something different. Pretty book. I've said enough about the topic we've been covering today. Time to move on to a different topic. Now I will react to any backlash we get, but at the moment, I actually think the backlash has been minimal. But it's early days, guys. Who knows? 3-4 days from now, things could change. Right. Okay. Got myself a cup of tea. Hi, Emily. I haven't had time to tell anyone, so I just jumped on. So, I'm pretty sure that Joanne sent me this book. It has loads of different bits in it. Let's read the back page. Priscilla Presley story. I was one of the greatest yet strangest love stories of our time. The story of a young girl who let the man she loved dictate how she should look, behave, and even feel, whether in public or in their most intimate moments. Together, Priscilla and Elvis is a deeply moving, sometimes shocking story of Priscilla's years of passion and pain with Elvis the King. Of course, I disagree with all of that. It's bullshit. This whole controlling, grooming stuff is just bullshit. So the book was sent to me. So I just thought, let's read the bit. So it has many different, what is that beeping away? Something's beeping, guys. I think it's the washing machine. She was only 14 when she first met Elvis and fell under his spell, but it was 5 years before Elvis declared her fit to be his bride. This is just such bullshit, isn't it? Elvis declares her fit to be his bride. After he had obsessively schooled her in everything. Oh, does anyone fall for this? From how to please his eyes to how to please his senses, his marriage was mingling of glorious fulfillment and growing fear of heartbreak as she helplessly watched the tender, giving man she loved destroy himself. Oh my God. Why do people fall for this fake Elvis news? The Priscilla Presley story by Caroline Latham. What year was it? Does it say a year? No, but this one is, looks like it was, could have been Australia and Canada. Yeah. The notification comes onto my phone. So, oh, Emily got a notification. That's good. So there's, just so you know, guys, this book that was sent to me, there's all different sections. I haven't read any of them. You know, I don't read. It's number 1 is the love story of our times. Number 2, meeting Elvis. Number 3, the German interlude. Funny kind of courtship is number 4. Number 5, Priscilla moves in with Elvis. Number 6, Elvis and Priscilla get married. Number 7, being Mrs. Elvis. Becoming a parent is number 8. A marriage in trouble, number 9. That'll be interesting. Breaking up, number 10. Interesting. The divorce settlement, which is what we're going to read now. After the divorce, the death of Elvis, building a career. 14 is building a career. Sorry, I've just had my dinner. I had eggs and bacon. 15, stardom of Elvis. 16, remembering Elvis and the biography. Right, so we are going to read the divorce settlement. I haven't read it. So it is chapter 14. And I just thought, let's see what it says. So I don't support this book in any way. I'm going to read it and disagree with it. Let's just see if there's any pictures on here that we've never seen before. Probably not. Yeah, just the standard pictures that we've all seen 1,000 times. I think what I'm going to do is I will put the conversation up so that I can actually, because I'm not really using footage, so I don't really need to. But so I have had a few messages, nothing bad, nothing negative. I do think one of our troll fake Elvis fans channels, it was one of the 3 channels that we've fallen out with, had joined our live. So I can, yeah, on our topic. So I don't really want to talk about the other topic anymore unless I have to. I will only react to the topic we had for this morning and yesterday if I'm pushed. If people come at me, then I'll talk about the other topic. But we can move off that topic now. I'm just looking to see if there's any other pictures. No, there's no. There's one there. I've never seen that one before with Michael Edwards, the alleged pervert. Allegedly, we know he did it. So no, right. Okay, so I've only got half an hour, so I wonder if I can read it. Let's find chapter 14. So I think it was page. Does it say a page? Page 124. So we'll start reading it, and we'll just decide if it's bullshit or not. Now, an uncensored book. I've never heard of this book, so I'm not really worried about having problems that we are reading it. I remember now why. So I didn't notify anyone, so I'm not expecting loads of people to watch this, to read this. So what I could do though, I could quickly put it on our Facebook to say we're live. We're live. I'll tell Deborah. I'll tell. Okay, let me just go on to defending Elvis. Let's go on to let's tell Tony. Linda. Okay, so very quickly. Let's tell Lorna quickly. Okay, right. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It was a very rush thing. Okay, right. Let's just start reading, otherwise we're going to run out of time. Oh, I know, Pat. It's annoying. Right, the divorce settlement. How many pages is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages. It's not very long. It's quite big letters. We're just going to read it. This is an uncensored book. I have never read it before. Chapter 11 in the book, Priscilla and Elvis. In the fall of 1972, Elvis and Priscilla Presley discussed an official separation agreement. Elvis said he was willing to give Priscilla anything she wanted. Priscilla said she was willing to trust Elvis to make a fair settlement. This seemed to be the perfect basis for a friendly settlement. But as events were to show, friendliness was not enough. A little knowledge would have helped. Both Priscilla and Elvis were sadly ignorant about the Presley financial affairs. Okay? So has anyone read this before? Hi, Karen. It's just a quick half-hour live. An uncensored book that I've never seen before that was sent to me by Joanne. Thank you, Joanne. Priscilla doesn't try to disguise the fact that she was very naive about money at the time. She had lived with Elvis since she was 16. Well, that ain't true. Remember, we're going to disagree with stuff She didn't live with him until she was nearly 18. Another lie. All she knew about managing money was how to sign her name to a credit card slip. We know that. Her needs were provided for before she even had to ask how. Houses, cars, jewels, furs, horses, a ranch, a fantasy wardrobe. She had no idea of how much this bounty cost, and therefore no idea of how much it was going to take for her to live in the future. So I'm guessing she wanted to have a similar lifestyle. Let me just put some more water in this tea a minute. Okay, let's just keep going. It's quite interesting, I think. So at the request of Elvis's lawyers, she drew up a list of her projected expenses. She concluded that she could live on $1,000 a month and $500 child support. So the thing I remember from reading the other divorce stuff is that the first divorce settlement was quite fair. The second one was outrageous, and she had promised never to go back for a second divorce settlement. In addition, the attorney said that she should receive a lump sum, and she asked Elvis the name figure. He came up with $100,000, which probably sounded like a generous sum to him because he saw the settlement as just one more in a long line of gifts to his wife. He had always loved giving her things. In fact, he loved to give everyone, and sometimes gave valuable jewelry and cars to total strangers. We know this. He saw the settlement in this context rather than as a sharing of his estate, about which he himself really knew very little about. The colonel and his father handled all the financial affairs, and Elvis simply spent whatever he wanted to, as long as his daddy agreed. I never knew that his daddy had to agree. I would say he didn't care what his daddy agreed, that he spent whatever he wanted to, regardless of what his daddy said, I would say. Considering what Elvis was worth and how much he was earning, Priscilla's settlement was definitely unfair, but neither Elvis nor Priscilla realized it at the time, and no one pointed it out to them. Well, I don't agree it was unfair. I actually think Elvis was very generous. I think that he gave her everything she wanted. Come on, you name it, she got it. And even if she had run out of money or things or needed anything, he was always going to give it her. Elvis was always going to give Priscilla what she wanted. He was always going to make sure that his daughter Lisa had as much as she could ever want or even dream of. Yeah. So unfair, to say it was unfair is bullshit. But neither Elvis nor Priscilla realized it at the time, and no one pointed out to them. Elvis lawyers and advisors thought they were acting in their best interest by giving Priscilla the smallest amount possible. I don't agree with that. That's bullshit. And Priscilla, trusting Elvis despite their differences, was being advised by Elvis' lawyer and even, so look, and even coached by him about what to say to the lawyer who would represent her and a lawyer whom he had selected. Now, to say that Elvis coached her into what to say to the lawyer is such crap. Can anyone prove that happened? It's just bullshit. So it didn't take Priscilla long to learn that she had hopelessly underestimated her financial needs. She couldn't begin to live on $1,000 a month, nor was there any need for her to. Things became especially difficult after Vernon Presley discovered that she was still using her old charge accounts. I think there's truth to that, isn't there? And closed them all in his desire to protect Elvis. I can imagine that happening. When Priscilla revised her estimates of her cost of living, it looked like this. So instead of it being $1,000 a month, it turned into 11,800 a month. Or is that a year? It's all different costs here. You've got rent, insurance, maintenance, food, utilities, telephone, laundry, clothing, medical insurance, childcare, school, entertainment, incidentals, transportation, auto expenses. Yeah, so, okay, let's just keep going with it, guys. In other words, her incidents were now as large as she had previously estimated her entire budget to be. She had learned a lot about the reality of existence after she left the fantasy world of Grace. Well, yeah, she's trying to live like royalty, but she's divorced Elvis. She's with another man. What do you expect? You can't take Elvis's daughter away from him, live with a complete stranger, Mike Stone, the karate instructor, after secretly seeing him for a year behind Elvis's back, and then expect to live in the same way as you did with Elvis, who lived in a mansion and had many other homes, who was super rich. By the time Priscilla grasps the magnitude of her mistake, it was too late. Under Californian law, to ask for a change on the simple grounds of error in order to revise the settlement, she had to make an allegation of fraud. Now, I've always said this. Priscilla, to get more money, had to accuse Elvis of fraud, hiding his income, and many other things. Yeah? Which is a crime in itself. There's no way. So she basically had to lie so she could get her second divorce settlement and accuse Elvis of literally breaking the law, even though he didn't. He didn't break any law. So, attorney Arthur Toll, the Californian law firm of Tancourt, Toll and Leavitt filled a petition on Priscilla's behalf on May the 29th, 1973. The petition charged that Priscilla Presley had been the victim of extrinsic fraud. See, this is the second divorce. So we've mentioned this many times. So we now know that the second divorce, to try and to make it eligible for Priscilla to apply for a second divorce that she promised she would never do, it happened on May the 29th, 1973. So the petition charged that Priscilla Presley had been a victim of extrinsic fraud, which is not true. In her deposition, Priscilla said that she was told at the time that the settlement was fair. Well, I think it was very fair. It was a very generous settlement. She explained why she believed it. Since I was 16 years old, she was not 16, she was nearly 18. No, actually, let's reword that. She explained why she believed it. Since I was 16 years old, I had been living with my husband while she was nearly 18, so she lied. And during that time, I developed trust and confidence in my husband and his father and other persons associated with him. This trust led to her an unquestioning acceptance of the settlement she was offered. Her petition told the whole story of how the settlement was negotiated and how she was advised by Elvis's lawyer. She said she didn't realize at the time that the settlement was unfair because she knew nothing about Elvis's business affairs. Even when she had signed their joint tax return, she didn't look at the figures. Okay. Now remember, we don't agree with any of this. We're just reading it. Okay, guys? Okay. Let's I still find it interesting, guys, you know. Right, let's just make sure. So there's a few more of you that have joined us. Sorry, I didn't have time to inform everyone. But simply put her name where she was told. So she's saying she didn't read the tax returns. Yeah, she just signed them. Elvis's advisor responded by hiring a new lawyer and trying to destroy Priscilla's case. The lawyer attempted to show that she knew all along that Elvis was a rich man and that she participated in buying and furnishing several of his houses, so she ought to have been aware of the amount of money that he was spending. That might have been true, but in ordinary household, but not in Elvis Presley's, for the people around him all seemed to agree that even he didn't really know how much he was spending. The truth of the matter was that Elvis himself probably didn't look at his tax return before he signed it, in the same way that Priscilla trusted Elvis. Elvis trusted his daddy, and neither husband nor wife knew about the reality of their income or expenditure. Whenever Vernon Presley was worried out loud to his son about his ruinous extravagance, Elvis smiled and told him, "Don't worry, he would just go out and make another movie, another record, arrange for another Vegas appearance. The money was out there, and all he had to do was agree to accept it." Well, I think that's pretty true. Elvis could make money whenever he wanted. That was all Elvis knew about balancing a budget, and in truth, for all his life, it proved to be enough. I agree. Elvis always knew he could just go out, perform, get money. Priscilla's legal move put an additional strain on her already shaky relationship with Elvis. Although he was always a generous man, he didn't like the implication that he had cheated her, and he was uneasy about her demands. Her lawyer began pressing to obtain information about the extent of his income and net worth, and that got everyone around Graceland all upset. According to Jerry Hopkins, the Image Project publicity was that everything was friendly, and during that period it was not. Although Elvis told friends repeatedly that Priscilla could have anything she wanted, the lawyer apparently had negotiated with Elvis' best interest in mind, but without Elvis' full knowledge of what they were doing. The secretary, Becky Yancey, makes the point that throughout this period, Elvis continued to give Priscilla gifts, clothes, and jewelry to pay her bills without question. I believe that. She wanted was money that never looked him. Good morning, Louis. The most money-hungry woman I've ever seen. Don't even know if she knows what love is. Hi, Sharon. How are you? So, in the end, a new settlement was reached that seemed fair to everyone. Priscilla got $2 million, with half to be paid at the time. Now, this is, to me, I mean, these figures might not be correct, but this is where the deed of trust, the lien, the debt gets placed on Graceland. Elvis doesn't have the money to give her. This is the whole thing here. The second divorce settlement, I think, was cruel. Yeah, was way over the top, and literally put her in a position where she sort of owned Graceland because she had a debt on it in her name, a deed of trust, a lien, a charge. So in the end, the new settlement was reached that deemed fair to everyone. Priscilla got $2 million, with half to be paid at the time. So according to this, she gets $1 million up front. I think it was more than that. So these figures may not be correct. Half in monthly installments of $6,000. In addition, there was $6,000 a month alimony for 1 year. This figure comes from the secretary who wrote out the checks, and $4,000 a month child support for Lisa. Priscilla also got half the proceeds of the sale of their Los Angeles house. It was valued at about $500,000, and 5% of the stock in 2 of Elvis's music publishing companies. So she's getting 5% of his royalties. The 2 of them would share custody of their... this is severe, guys. The 2 of them would share custody of their daughter, Lisa Marie, who would live with Priscilla. Even that, why did she live with Priscilla? Obviously, at the hands of Mike Stone, eventually Mike Edwards. The settlement seems to have restored their affection for one another. How would that restore their affection for one another? What is that? So she robs Elvis blind in a divorce settlement that was extremely over the top. And then the words in this book say, The settlement seems to have restored their affection for one another. Don't make sense, does it, guys? Why do people believe this bullshit? Priscilla worried about Elvis's health and he worried about her happiness. Does anyone here for a second think that Priscilla worried about Elvis's health? Seriously, does anyone think for a second? From that moment onwards, he gets iller and iller, sicker and sicker. He's also got chronic illnesses that he has been born with, inherited. I got the snivels a bit today, guys. Priscilla worried about Elvis's health? No. He worried about her happiness. I think the Elvis, how we know him, would have worried about her happiness and her well-being because it's Lisa's mum. Elvis would have worried about Priscilla because it's Lisa's mum. So I get that. She came to see him perform in Vegas and he introduced her to the audience. We are the best of friends and always have been. How can you be the best of friends if you've gone through that horrific divorce? Then she says we always have been. She's been secretly dating, having sex with Mike Stone, the karate champion, secretly for a year. So how have they been the best of friends? Then Elvis finds out. How have they been the best of friends? Remember, she was doing this behind Frances Stone, Mike Stone's wife, who was pregnant, who had a small girl. Mike Stone was betraying his own wife and child and unborn baby. So there's no way that they were best of friends because remember in 1968, she was found out having an affair with Steve Peck, the dance instructor, as well. All this happening during the marriage. So there's no way they were best of friends. No way. It's not possible. But in this fake book, it says they were. Priscilla likes to portray that her and Elvis were better apart and that they were close and got on really well. It's not possible. They were arguing about money and Lisa Marie. Priscilla was attacking Elvis for more money, more money, more money. So I'm not falling for it, guys. So we are the best of friends that always have been. That is bullshit. I don't think it was fair on Priscilla with me gone so often and traveling so much. Now, Elvis did say that. We know that he said that. But come on. Elvis was just too nice and too forgiving. I've always said it, guys. Elvis was just too nice. He was just too nice to everybody. This is why everyone took advantage of him, including the Memphis Mafia, including ex-girlfriends, including everyone. Including on October the 11th of that year, Elvis and Priscilla were officially divorced in a court in Santa Monica. Pictures showed them emerging from the courtroom together, holding hands and parting with a kiss. Priscilla revealed that Elvis whispered in her ear, "For always and ever." Elvis looked terrible. He was much heavier. His face was swollen and his eyes were puffy. Priscilla said that even his hands were swollen and he was perspiring heavily. Now, I've always said this. Elvis wanted the public to see that they were happy apart, happy divorced. Oh, right, my wife's back. That was quick. I might have to go, guys. So I just don't believe it. I think Elvis wanted. I'm just finishing now. I think Elvis just wanted things to look good for Lisa. Yeah, for the public, for the press, for the magazines, for the tabloids. Always thought that. It was just a big front. And even this whole thing where he sang "I Will Always Love You," Dolly Parton's song. We know that it didn't even come out until after the divorce. So even that is a lie, isn't it, guys? The strain of his bizarre lifestyle, his heavy use of drugs and sadness over the end of his marriage were all beginning to take toll. 6 days later, he checked into a hospital ostensibly to treat reoccurring pneumonia, actually to detoxify for some of the drugs that he was taking, especially Demerol. Now remember, I keep saying this, why does no one care about the fact that he was sick, seriously sick, chronically unwell? He'd been ill most of his life, serious constipation, serious insomnia. He was in a lot of pain and discomfort. He had no energy. He needed energy. Just, it's all ignored. Right, I think this is the last page, guys. So the last page, the day he left, he returned to the Graceland and tried to carry on. He had his daughter with him at Christmas, and his girlfriend, Linda Thompson, hung her Christmas stockings where Priscilla used to go, but insiders say that most of his presents remained unopened under the tree for weeks. He gave his usual big New Year's Eve party, but stayed upstairs in his bedroom. We don't even know if that's true. Most of the night, appearing for not more than 15 minutes. Priscilla, on the other hand, looked better than ever. In years, she had stopped dyeing her hair the deep artificial black Elvis light and allowed it to go back to its natural color. Well, actually, she chose to have it black. She thought it looked good on her. No longer teased and stiff, it fell down her frame and her small face without the heavy makeup and eyes that Elvis had also insisted on. Do you see that? This is bullshit. We know she was not forced to do her hair dark, put it in a beehive, or wear heavy makeup. And also, they're talking about the wrong period, because it was the 60s when Priscilla had her dark makeup and the black hair and the beehive. So the natural look that she got was in the 70s that she chose to do. She chose to change her hair back to normal, promoting hella hair products, stuff like that. It's just such a load of trash, isn't it? So unfair to Elvis that people believe this bullshit. This is a book of crap. On that particular occasion, she had chosen a sort of sophisticated hippie look with a patchwork leather coat and a few big pieces of handmade jewelry. Yeah, because it was the 70s. It wasn't the 60s anymore. The picture tells the story. Most of the rest of the world's short life would be downhill. And then it just slags him off now, talks about his drugs and his prescribed medication. Then it says that he's depressed. And as for Priscilla, she embarked on the exciting, new, scary process of finding herself. She finds herself. In other words, she F's other people. Right, guys, gotta go. Thanks for joining me. This whole chapter was bullshit. Elvis was so good to that lady. So good. She massively took advantage of him, massively abused him as a human being. And we ain't falling for it. We ain't falling for it, guys. Gotta go.